So it's Star Wars Day, and for the two of you watching YouTube who don't know what that is, it's May the 4th, as in, May the 4th be with you. Which is a terrible pun, but gives us an excuse to have a Star Wars Day, so I'm all for it. And therefore, I thought it's high time that I covered a Star Wars game. I mean, we do have a couple of Star Wars games in the house. Star Wars is one of the most ubiquitous properties in the world. There are literally hundreds of Star Wars games. So I thought for today I'd do something a bit special. So I'm not going to do Rogue Squadron 2. I'm not going to do Battlefront. I'm not going to do Rebel Assault 2. These are all games with good points and bad points. But I wanted to do something a little bit special today. Now, I decided I wanted to try something different, something I recently picked up, and see how well it stacks up against all the other Star Wars games. And so... And besides, who hasn't wanted to play a set of games that are encased entirely within the squished and deformed body of the Lord of the Sith himself? And if you couple that with the fact that these games have mono sound, then you know it's going to be amazing. So this is a plug and play games console made by the people at Jakks Pacific, a company known for their huge selection of quickly made, licensed plug and play games. And as you can see from this brilliant title scene, this is a Revenge of the Sith licensed product. Just before we go any further, let me clarify, I'm not expecting this to be brilliant. Alright, I know what these are. These are mass produced, they're created very quickly, and they're usually rip-offs of old arcade games. But you know what? I enjoy old arcade games, so if you're ripping off good arcade games, then I'm all for it. Give me anything you want with a Star Wars skin and I'll play it. So to start, and in order to avoid listening to this terrible version of the Star Wars theme for longer than we have to, let me load up the first game, Droid Invasion. Ooh, helpful instructions, that's useful. I have questions. Question 1. Why am I on Naboo in a Revenge of the Sith tie-in game? Question 2. Why does Obi-Wan Kenobi look like a young Jeremy Corbyn? Question number 3. Why, when stormtroopers are firing at me, are the lasers incredibly slow? Question number 4. Why do these lasers then speed up so much when they bounce back off my lightsaber? Question number 5. Who decided that the best way to make a Star Wars breakout ripoff was to have a really fast-moving Obi-Wan running across the bottom of the screen? And question number 6, where the hell is the music? You could make crappy synthesized music for the opening menu, but not for the game itself. Oh cool, I got the double-ended lightsaber. From watching this, you can tell that this game is not very exciting. There's also a huge design flaw in it. If I hit the lasers with the middle of my lightsaber, they just bounce back in a straight line. And since none of the enemies shoot in any direction other than straight, the game becomes ridiculously easy, as all you need to do is stand directly in front of each laser and bounce it back to kill the enemy approaching you. The only remotely difficult thing is making sure that he draws his bloody lightsaber when you press the button, not 2 seconds later. And now let's move on to Coruscant Attack. Oh, I died. Visually, this game has quite a nice retro feel to it. It's almost got a charm of its own. It is, however, a crying shame that the controls are terrible. Your steering has a massive delay on it, so turning is some of the most painful navigation you've ever experienced. And this wouldn't be so bad if the levels didn't require you to fly around and find every enemy, instead of just flying in one direction and having them attack you. Again, the lack of music is strange, and there's obviously bugger all in the way of differences between levels, but it's the better game of the two so far. What could be next? It's time for Grievous Onslaught. It's some kind of weird top-down action game. Again, it feels like it could almost be fun, except that it isn't. The controls are not terrible, although the lightsaber swing is very, very, very slow to react when you press the button. But since you die in just one hit, exactly like the other two games, there's not a lot in the way of a learning curve. It's just an ultimately forgettable game. Gunship Battle, the 4th out of 5 games on this tiny Sith console. Let's take a look. Oh wait, it's Choplifter, Star Wars edition. I can even pick up little stormtroopers and take them to where they need to be and... Oh wait, I got blown up. Well, at least you have an energy bar in this game. It's not a one-hit kill, which makes a bloody change. So your goal in this game is to pick up the stormtroopers and then get them to take over a base and... I'm confused. Wait, let me read the instructions again. Does anyone else feel that this is a little bit too complicated for a plug-and-play game? Also, the whole point of Choplifter is that you know how many people are on your chopper and how many people you need to achieve your goal. But there's no hint of that in this game. The game doesn't even tell me how many are on the ship. Do you know what? If I wanted to play Choplifter, I'd just play Choplifter. Which leaves us with Utapu Chase. And I'll be honest, my hopes aren't high. Based on the infamous section of Revenge of the Sith, where Obi-Wan rides a giant lizard, this game is strange. And you die a lot, because sometimes you can jump gaps and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can touch the walls, and sometimes you can't. And more often than not, you end up getting railroaded into a dead end without any idea that it was a dead end to start with. It's a shame, really. I love the look of this weird, compact Dark Lord of the Sith, and I just wish the games were a little bit better. Or at least that there were more to try. I mean, I've tried the 5 on here and none of them really spoke to me. But if this is the dark side, and the dark side is evil, can you imagine how good a light side version of this console would be? Let's find out. Well, that's the least impressive version of the Star Wars theme I have ever heard. But I won't get hung up on that. I mean, based on the other one, there's not going to be any music in the games anyway. So this console's just got 4 games, but I'm a little more optimistic. The title screen looks nicer, and the first game is called Lightsaber Duel. And who doesn't love lightsabers? Okay, it's a one-on-one fighter. I quite enjoy those. And look, you have to complete the game to unlock other fighters. This game's got progression. It encourages repeated playthroughs. Could this be the first good game on one of these consoles? No, it's shit. This is terrible. When you press either of the attack buttons, there appears to be no guarantee that your attack will actually take place. On average, Luke attacked about once every 3 times I pressed the button, which is infuriating. But hey, at least I managed to do his weird force move, which looks, well... looks kind of like he's having some kind of epileptic fit, but it appears to do a decent amount of damage. And after a few attempts, I defeated Obi-Wan and made it onto level 2. Darth Vader... Wait a minute. Darth Vader is level 2. Surely you want to work up to the climactic fight of the whole original trilogy, Luke versus Darth Vader. You don't want to just dive straight in, make it level 2, and then... Oh, I killed him. Okay, so now it's level 3, and I'm interested. If we had Darth Vader for level 2, who's going to be in level 3? It's Darth Vader again. Oh, fuck this noise. Let's try Red Leader, the next one on the console. Holy crap, this is actually fun. Maybe I've been so disillusioned by the 6 terrible games I've played so far that my standards have been massively lowered. But this game is almost like playing a third-rate Gallagher. It's actually competent and I find myself enjoying it. Don't get me wrong, the movement controls are still massively imprecise. This is not the type of game you want to be controlling with a very floaty analog stick, but by and large this game's fun. It's a game that wouldn't make me feel violently sick if I had to play it again. And by the standard of the rest of these games, that is amazing. And now for Assault on Hoth. This is like some weird tower defense game, where the towers only shoot in straight lines and everyone moves really slowly. But again, it's not terrible. It's not a game you'd play for long periods of time though. It can get frustrating, especially since you cannot avoid or block the incredibly slow laser blasts heading towards you. So you can see destruction arriving at your door and you have no way of stopping it. And then once you've lost your 5 lives, you... Wait. You keep going? This live system is broken. I lost a life every time one tower was blown up. Okay, fair enough. But now I'm down to 0 lives, it seems to not matter if a tower is blown up, it's still recovered and rebuilt, and the game continues on without any kind of penalisation. I played this for a significant amount of time, and only when all 3 of my towers were blown up, once I was on 0 lives, did I die. Which is fine, but begs the question, what was the point of the live system in the first place? Still, it was fun, or at least more fun than I imagined it would be. It's like a Star Wars version of Tapped Out. And so, that leaves me with Battle of Endor. And oh, holy fuck, these sprites are tiny. At least for the first time in any of these games you get a sense of speed, but this is harder than it looks. Mostly because the 2D trees make it incredibly hard for you to tell whether you're going to hit them or not, and also because there's no way to kill a stormtrooper unless you're behind him, and you can't really slow down. I mean, you can move to the left, but every time you do, the stormtroopers tend to as well. But still, I persevered through level 1 and found something remarkable. The second level is different! Not a different background, but actual different gameplay. In level 2 you play as Chewie piloting a walker, shooting down stormtroopers, other walkers, and trying not to shoot Ewoks, although you can shoot Ewoks, and it's always fun to do so. The controls for this section are strange. You're controlling the aiming reticule and have no direct control over the walker, or any way to block, speed up, slow down, or evade laser blasts in any way. Luckily your health bar is reasonably high and there are lots of power-ups, so I made it through the level eventually and got to level 3. And holy balls, level 3 is a different type of gameplay as well! This is amazing, it's almost like 3 shit games in one to make it one slightly less shit game. The third level is you piloting the Falcon into the second Death Star to blow it up, and while the speed makes it seem as if the Falcon is slower than the speeder bikes in level 1, it's really not terrible. I didn't complete it though. Well, not this time. Yes, that's right. I genuinely feel like I would play Battle of Endor again. So to sum it up, I've played 9 cheap Star Wars rip-off games over the course of an hour. Of all of them, there are only 3 I would ever consider playing again, and all of those are on the R2-D2 console. So, are these games suitable replacements for Star Wars console games? No, of course they're not. And anyone who tells you otherwise is flat out lying. As I say, I would play 3 of these again, but only if I have nothing else around to play. Because even the good games are bad. I mean, the graphics are at best nicely retro and at worst indistinguishable. There is no music. The sound effects are the same 3 or 4 effects over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And the controls are what kill it for me. They are always imprecise. However, the fact that this one is not totally shit is a better result than I was honestly expecting. So my verdict on these 2 is display, but don't play. Unless you've got no Star Wars games to play. In which case, play this one. Don't ever play this one. Thanks very much for watching. Feel free to click on the link below for the last video games playthrough video I made. You can also subscribe, like the video, comment, let me know what you're doing for Star Wars Day. Are you playing any Star Wars games? Are you watching the films? Let me know. Thanks very much.